And here's the other piece. I keep trying to have theological conversations with friends sometimes that aren't of our tradition, and it's very difficult because they don't have any tradition. Depending on what time you are and what era you are in the church, different things are emphasized. And when some things are emphasized, that means other things are de-emphasized. I remember a few years ago, we did a panel discussion. We had a Sunni and a Shiite imam, Roman Catholic priest, myself, and Rabbi Moss from B'nai Israel. And the whole talk was prepared on burial practices. And we were looking for a place to talk and some commonality about burial practices. Well, several things shocked me. One, Jews and Muslims have exactly the same burial practices. Exactly the same.
24 hours, that's good.
24, the quicker you get in the ground, the more you honor them. And then I realized, of course, they're all Semites. They all came from the same region. They all have similar customs. And then someone asked a question about, well, can you get buried if you've committed suicide? And the Roman Catholic priest jumped up and answered that question. And this is exactly what he said. We are in a time of mercy in the church. We are in a time of mercy. And science tells us that people who commit suicide are mentally ill. That is not a rational decision. Why would we punish someone who's ill? Why would we punish their family because their son or daughter or their husband or wife is ill? We won't do that. The imams said exactly the same thing. The rabbi said exactly. And it was like across the board.
That's a big change.
This is the difference in emphasis. So when we're in a time of mercy and change, you drop a lot of those hardcore old ironclad rules because they're not working anymore. And you re-emphasize something else. And we're in a time now where I think we're emphasizing love and, to use the old Roman Catholic term, corporate works of mercy. Everyone know what that is? Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the sick, visit those in prison. It's being active in the world. It's being the Good Samaritan.
So, one of the things we had said was we would talk about the spirituality of the season. So, how do you see Advent or an Advent spirituality characterizing itself?
Characterize what?
Our prayer practices, our spirituality. That's, the way we practice our faith.
I think it's practicing wakefulness. You know what that means? Wakefulness. Being awake. That means you don't rush through your prayers. You pray with anticipation. You read the scriptures with the anticipation that God is going to speak to you from those scriptures. Just don't zoom through. Take the time. Make the time. And in some ways, Advent is also, it's like a time of formation. It's learning to anticipate. My favorite, St. Francis, along the way, discovered that he could see the presence of Christ in everybody. And it changed his whole life, and it changed his ministry. Because he no longer did things for others, he did things with others. He could be vulnerable with others, knowing that he could see the image and likeness of Christ in them. And that vulnerability, I think, is a part of that Advent theme, that Advent spiritual theme, which is anticipating God's self-revelation. And that's also a theme of Epiphany, too,
Yeah.
and Pentecost.
You talk about the church being in a rut. And don't you think that part of the problems within the church today are that the tail is wagging the dog? And that we have taken away what it means to be a Christian, and that we have taken away the idea of discipline, self-sacrifice, and we have made ourselves, if we can just get comfortable, we'll be Christian.
In other words, don't have any spiritual discipline at all.
You don't see it, and you don't hear it in the sermons anymore.
Parents are.
You don't see it. This is a wonderful turnout tonight. However, is it so wonderful if you think of the number of churches that were invited to participate?
Well, this is pretty normal for us.
But it's also at
I
night.
heard a rabbi
People.
giving a talk on basically wakefulness as well. And, you know, she's going, we've lost a whole generation. We've lost a whole generation.
We also watered down.
And that has
our
nothing
faith.
to do with watered down. That has everything to do with authenticity. They come and church is boring as hell. And it has nothing to do with the music. I've had people say to me, oh, if we just brought back the folk mass, the kids would come. And I said, I love folk music. How many of your kids listen to folk music?
That's our music.
Generational thing.
Yeah.
I agree with you in part. The problem is, I think that the church, the Christian church, has been in such a rut that I've been in Africa multiple times. The church there is exploding. You will not starve to death if you belong to a church.
That's right.
South America, too.
There is no social network in the countries. It's your family and it's your church family.
But it's exploding because they have gotten to know the living God.
And guess what?
Because the living God is a real part of their
Yeah.
faith, and that's exciting. When you know that God walks with you every day, then now your faith is exciting.
Well, they didn't have the 60s and 70s that we had here, where we were very well off and financially comfortable, enough that people could express anti-institutional type of mentality and thoughts, which they had a right to do. However, I believe that it carried over to include churches, institution, just as government, institution.
You brought up a seriously good
And,
point.
you know,
That
we're sitting here, the average age here
anti-institutional
is,
stuff
Yeah. It's
We
part
is
of it.
lost-
rampant in our society.
But we
we
were talking.
lost 2 generations.
We were talking about spiritual disciplines, and part of what Lent is about, and I know I preach about it during Lent, and you can't avoid preaching about it at Ash Wednesday, when we talk about the traditional disciplines of fasting, almsgiving, and what's the third one? Prayer, I guess.
Meditation.
Come on.
Study,
Study, I guess, yes.
Study, worship, and
Self-discipline.
self-examination.
Well, that's the fasting.
Self-examination.
Self-examination, that's the third one. Those are the primary. And I think self-examination is the one that most people really and culturally are encouraged to just glide right over. Right over that one. And people don't want to look too close at their lives
Yeah.
and see where there are holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, how could the Wesleys write 6,000 hymns while they were so busy doing parish ministry? They didn't have radio and television or telephones.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone said to me about 30 years ago regarding Advent and Lent, that Christmas was a promise made, and Easter was a promise kept. And that kind of pulls in that whole waiting, anticipation,